do a lot of PPC too, and I saw you in the lab yesterday.
That was a fun lab.
That was a fun lab, yeah, it was. One of the things, I mean, you saw in the lab there was one guy who had a wrong account structure. So
Right.
how much of that you encounter with your work every day where people go in, start PPC, because it's spending, right? Spending should not be that tough. But the account structure, getting the foundation, how much do you see in your daily life?
Well, sadly, more often than you think. And the part of the problem is that when people set up their own accounts, they get defaulted into things that they don't even know about. So that's kind of what happened to the guy yesterday. He got defaulted into both the search and the content network, which should be always a basic rule on pay-per-click is always separate search and content or display networks, because the people searching on those or just the whole nature of those two worlds, they're completely worlds, different part. And the ads are different, the landing pages need to be different, everything. They should be separated all the way out. So that's a classic error. The other thing that in that particular case the individual did was they had broad keywords, no negatives at all, and they had very general broad keywords. So he was paying for money that he probably just wasted it. They weren't even relevant. I mean, he was in this case, he was a LASIK vision, and unfortunately he had golf as a search keyword. And so it might work on, in a different environment, but not there.
Yeah. So your suggestion is, one is to structure your account, keep display content and PPC separate, and the second is actually not have everything on broad, but do a negative match.
Well, I would do the negative, but just recently Google came out with a broad match modifier, which is a new match term.
Okay.
It just came out in July 2010. And what that allows a marketer to do now is when they're putting their keywords in, if they put a plus sign in front of the keyword, say they want to show up for search queries of apple pie, they would put in at their keyword box, they would put plus apple, plus pie, and then they would show up only for instances of apple and pie in the same query.
Yeah.
So it's a way of getting more traffic than the exact and phrase match, but not go crazy with like expanded broad match. So it gives the advertiser a little more control.
And I mean, even Google is not perfect, right?
No.
A lot of times, they just match it to the best match you have.
Right.
I mean, one of the solutions I've seen is you have one keyword, but actually have broad, exact, and phrase, and then, have some of that control. Would you agree to that? Have you done something?
Yeah, I think that the only change I'd make is I still like doing the different match types in a PPC account, but I find less uses of the regular broad match now that they have the broad match modifier. I think I would put the broad match modifier in and still do the phrase and exact just because it gives me some more data. So.
I mean, the other question I have for you is quality score. I mean, a lot of times it's just like the page rank in SEO world. A lot of times people obsess, especially advertisers and clients who don't have really good insights. What's your take on quality scores, and if you have to pinpoint 3 things in quality score that you can do to improve, what that could be?
Well, let's take that account yesterday. When I looked at the guy's quality scores and his actual live account, we were seeing 2s and 3s, which were pretty bad. Part of the problem was he did not have very good keyword relevancy between the keywords he was targeting and the ad text. The keywords weren't in there, or even something related wasn't even in there. So you have to have a really close relationship between your keywords and the ad text itself. And then the other thing is, the click-through rate. And unfortunately, in his case, a third factor that's in there is your account history. And because he had really bad relevancy in his ads and his keywords throughout his whole account, he had these really bad quality scores. So that, in fact, hurts him even more. Now, the good thing is if he changes these and gets rid of some of those bad keywords and gets his account kind of turned around, Google always says that the newer quality score or the newer information in your account counts more heavily than the older stuff. So he can turn it around. It's just going to take a while, but there's just a lot of relevancy factors that Google hides and has in that black box mixture, the magic box. But those are some things. I mean, I always tell people start with your ads and your keywords and make sure those are very, very relevant, because that's something really easy you can do.
Definitely.